I'm back! So you might be wondering where the hell I am. This is not where I was in my last video. Well, I'm in Boston, Massachusetts for PAX East! That'll make more sense in the edit. If you couldn't tell by the giant-ass Pokemon poster to my left or the cute little Pikachu plushie on my right, I'm staying at my good friend and fellow Jacksum's editor, Kaioya's house. Say hi, Kai! Hi, Kai! He does that a lot. If you missed my last video, I'm listening to and reviewing as much YouTuber music as I possibly can. And today's topic is kind of a double whammy, in that we were reviewing a YouTuber plus streamer. You think YouTuber music is bad? Streamer music is even worse. So you can see I'm trying, you won't see me cry. Today will be our first time covering a YouTuber slash streamer, and this has gotta be awful, right? This is gonna be the worst one so far. What? Oh my gosh. How did that get there?
I fucking love this band.
DMC2 is the best Dante is good, but well, never two is bad.
Vinesauce is a content creator collective, if you will, spearheaded by Vinny... what was his name? Vinny... Funny Calzone Man Pizza Pasta, as the official Vinesauce wiki calls him. Vinny, as I've said before, is a streamer, YouTuber, gamer, and most likely constantly confused with Vsauce. Some of you might know him for his corruption streams, where they intentionally corrupt the data of a game to cause glitches, and it yields very funny results.
Oh my god. Slender Hogan.
I've actually been a fan of his for, oh man, I think it's been like 8 years now. I knew about his band for a while, but never really did a deep dive until I was working on this video. And for those asking, I'm aware that another member of Vinesauce, Joel, also has his own music. I'll get to him at some point.
I need to get milk.
Now, for some of my OG fans out there, I know you're out there somewhere, you might know that back in 2016, I believe, before I got popular doing Reddit videos, I made several Vinesauce edits. They were edits of some of Vinny's streams, like of Mario Kart 64 and GoldenEye and other shit. So this is kind of a full circle moment here. Now, alongside streaming, Vinny has a side gig as the frontman of the band Red Vox. They were founded in 2015 by Vinny and his friend Mike, and they would later be joined by Joe Pecora and Billy Gagliardi. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that name. I cannot speak. Mike, also known as Jabroni Mike, is a streamer himself and a good friend of Vinny's. Oops, I forgot to mention what the members actually do. I'm so good at this. Vinny, of course, is on vocals, as well as guitar, synthesizers, and keyboards. Mike is on percussion, Joe is on bass, guitar, studio percussion, Billy is on keyboard, piano, bass, yada yada, you get it. They kind of all do everything, except for Mike. He's strictly on drums. So he is kind of the Ringo of the group. That's not an insult. Ringo was an integral part of the Beatles. Shut up. I should also mention that there was an album that came out before their official debut that was attributed to Vine. Not the app, just Vine. That's just attributed to Vine. Apparently it's just kind of a collection of singles that Vinny put together that he had been working on. I did listen to it, and it's not really much to write home about. It's kind of whatever. I don't really count it as an official Red Vox release. So with all this praise I've hurled at the band, you might be wondering, what could go wrong? That's the name of their first album. Released in 2016, Red Vox's debut album, What Could Go Wrong, is very garage rock, alt rock. Kind of reminds me of The Strokes or Arctic Monkeys. I also get a little bit of, God help me here, Weezer vibes too. It's pretty messy, but it's very enjoyable. I like There She Goes partially because it kind of reminds me of Bad Idea, Right? By Olivia Rodrigo. It is a little weird that it's kind of similar to that. Was Olivia Rodrigo listening to Red Vox in 2016? I think she was like 12 then, so probably not. But anyway, There She Goes. It has a great bass line and a very Beatle-esque hook. Like, I can just like imagine some harmonies on the chorus there.
There she goes in the morning.
Atom Bomb and The Wrong Side of History are probably the heaviest songs on here instrumentally. I'd say these two songs are the best encapsulation of how rough and rowdy this album can be. It just feels like they're having a lot of fun in the studio. But even more so on Job in the City, which is this incredibly upbeat and chaotic song. Which, there's a reason for that. Apparently, Vinny drank a half bottle of whiskey before stumbling into the vocal booth. I don't know if it was all at once. I assume it was, because it results in a wild performance from him.
So sorry, so sad, you got it. So bad.
There's someone talking in the walls. Getting that sweet gossip. In fact, a lot of Vinny's vocals are just absolutely bonkers on this album. Like, We Had a Little Talk. The song just keeps building and building until Vinny's just screaming the chorus at the end. But there are a few more mellow moments where we take a break from screaming, like on Telephone and one of my favorites, Along the Way. My girlfriend thought it sounded like Nirvana. I thought it sounded like something from Spyro. Clearly the two icons of the 90s. Hazy is where I feel those Weezer vibes the strongest. I don't think I'm the first person to make this comparison, but it really does sound like the Sweater song. And they even stick the landing with the closer In a Dream. That beat is killer, and the way the chorus kicks in is just great. It's a very fun and triumphant way to end this album. Mike's drumming, especially in the outro, is fantastic. Like I said at the beginning, this is a pretty good album. It's very rough around the edges, which depending on what you like could be a positive or a negative. But it's a pretty good debut and shows a lot of potential. What's this? A hidden track? If you wait a bit after In a Dream, there's this little guitar lick, and it actually hints at the opening track to their next album, Blood Bagel. Wait. Okay, so yeah, in between their first and second album, they put out the Blood Bagel EP, which, first of all, as you can see, I'm blurring the cover here, not because it's inappropriate, it's literally just a bagel covered in fake blood. I just fear that the YouTube gods will strike me down, because it just looks disgusting. By the way, I feel like I should mention, for those who don't know, EP stands for extended play. It's a little confusing, because we have single, which is one song, then you have an extended play, which is like a mini album, essentially, and then an LP, which is a long play. That's a full album. Just want to make those distinctions. You might think because it came out so soon after their first album that it would just be a continuation of that sound, right? Yes? I think the description of this EP on Bandcamp really says what kind of project this is. For our next album, we wanted to strive for more depth and experimentation. This is not that album. This is Blood Bagel. Fuck you. So already, this is a 10 out of 10. There's no other way to say it. This is just a 5-track shitpost. All the songs are just excuses to be loud and dumb, and they succeed in that mission to be loud and dumb with flying colors. Much like their first album, they definitely sound like they're having fun.
Shut my pants on a date. $100 for a plate.
Truthfully, I don't know how to review this album other than just reading the titles of these songs and letting you be the judge. We have Vomit in the Ball Pit. What is this? Dashcon? Roid Rage, Between the Cheeks, and, well, you can read that one yourself.
Sip my fly to my dong. Roll myself a shitty song.
The one fun fact I have about this EP is that the closing track, Between the Cheeks, which, first of all, why? Or wait, is it The Cheeks of Love or Between the Cheeks? These distinctions are important. For the closing track, they actually got a female gospel singer, and as Vinny puts it.
I knew I wanted a female gospel singer there, right? And I didn't want to do falsetto or have anyone do falsetto. I wanted someone like legit with a good voice. I was like, who the fuck is gonna do a song about assholes? No one that does gospel. But I tried anyway, so I went on Craigslist and I was like, looking for gospel singer to sing strange lyrics. I'm offering, you know, a certain amount of money. It was a decent fucking chunk of cash. $200 I offered because I need to incentivize this, otherwise no one's gonna want to do this. And then I got an email from Arnell and she said that she was down and her videos were great. She was amazing at singing. And so I spoke to her on the phone and I said, okay, well, we already have someone, but I want to give this a shot. Maybe you know how to do this better. Maybe you're better at this and maybe you'll get what we're doing. It's called Blood Bagel. Here's the concept. You're going to be singing Deep Between the Cheeks of Love, not the cheeks you're thinking of. And she just immediately burst out laughing. So my fear was that she was going to come to the studio and just immediately punch me in the dick. But that didn't happen. So thank you, Arnell.
All right, I think I'm done talking about Blood Bagel. Let's move on. Their actual next album was
Another Light, released in 2017.
Instead of the garage rock, alt rock combination on their first album or the cheekiness of the Blood Bagel EP, Another Light is Red Vox's first dip into prog rock. And this is a first of a trend in this series, me actually owning one of the albums I'm talking about. Yeah, I went to PAX East last year and met Vinny. I found out the day of that he was gonna be there. They were selling this album, so I bought it and got him to sign it. Anyway, now that Vinny is my best friend forever, what about the actual album? Well, right off the bat, it starts out really strong. The opening 4 tracks are just perfect and set the tone really well. They all lead into each other too, which is really cool. Opening up with the title track. Love it. That riff is excellent, and Vinny's like bassy voice is different. It's very different, but I like it. After that, we lead right into Settle for Less, which again, Vinny's voice. What? He improved so much from the last album to this. Late last night, or was it morning? Outside the rain was pouring. Oh, amazing. And that guitar work. The guitar work on this song is just out of this world. Like, it's just such a jammy, fun song. I can't get over it. The next 2 tracks, Memories Lie and Tell Me, kind of slow things down a bit, but still keep up the intensity. I think I hear a vocoder on the former. And once again, Vinny's voice, I keep bringing it up, but like his voice is like one of my favorite things about this album. His singing on Tell Me is just great. I've been ready, won't you tell me? Tell me. And like the reverb on that is just stellar. And I love the way Tell Me just crashes into the ending. It's such a great climactic way to end this amazing stretch of tracks. Now, those 4 tracks I described to you are probably the best part of this album. They're kind of the main course, and the rest is just a bonus. It's kind of like how King Gizzard organizes their albums sometimes. But I don't want to downplay any of the following tracks following that great opening stretch. From the Stars is a tribute to David Bowie, one of Vinny's biggest influences, who had just passed away a year before this album. Also, fucking Reno. Oh my gosh, Reno fucking slaps. That build in the intro is just such a great way to build tension, and then it just crashes right into that wall of guitars and shit. This one is probably the most similar to their last album, even though it's not really all that similar. What I'm saying is that this is the most rocky, just plain rock songs on the album. I'm heading on back to Reno! I'm heading on back to Reno! Oh, way! What's funny is that Vinny has never been to Reno. I think he probably just picked the song out of a hat or something. But still, it's a killer song, and when I listen to it, I imagine just like driving down like a desert road or something. That's what I picture. In the Garden was the first taste I had of this band, and it is not a good representation of their sound. It's a good song, it's great, it's one of their best, but like, It's very different from the rest of the album. It's the first song in their catalog where synths are the main player in the song. Also, why is this their most popular song on Spotify? Why? Why? Then the closer, Burn a Picture, is a very ominous way to end an album. I love it. I love that vibe, though. I love when albums end on kind of a creepy note. I love how it kind of ties the knot on the album with that refrain at the end. See, that's a nice little touch that I like. Yeah, overall, this is a massive step up from their debut. Great songs, Vinny's voice has improved so much, and prog rock is a very good fit for them. This might be my favorite album of theirs. I know we're early in their discography, but there's something about it. There's something about it. Definitely my favorite of their album covers. I mean, there's a reason why I own it. And as a little bonus to end the Another Light era, the boys released Stranded, a 9-minute rock opus, and it's fucking amazing. It's the longest song they've made to this day, and it earns the runtime. Why is it not on the album, though? Maybe they just didn't finish it in time? I don't know. They did include it on the vinyl, which is nice. And now for something completely different. Their next album, Kerosene,
Released in 2019,
was not meant to be their next album. Not only was its release a complete surprise, but it was originally going to be a 6-track acoustic EP, which is really funny considering what their last EP was. But they started writing more songs and adding more non-acoustic elements to them. And they eventually realized, this is an album. What's interesting about this album, though, is yes, it's very acoustic, very folky, but there's still a lot of space in the mix. Like, it feels like Vinny's alone with his guitar in a dark room, and he's about to kill you. Yeah, the best word for this album is just ominous and very uncomfortable, but not in a bad way? I think the title track is a perfect example of this. It's very slow, encompassing, almost hypnotizing, and the lyrics use this metaphor of burning someone at a stake to represent like modern witch hunting.
Well, tried by fire, but never to be clean. Kerosene.
And then once they've been hunted down, as the song says,
The ones who really lit the fire start to show their teeth.
it's just... it just sends shivers down my spine, man. It's just really, really clever imagery. It really is the most haunting song in all of Red Vox's catalog. The vocal effect on Vinny's voice also adds to this really unsettling feeling. I've just never heard anything like this, man. As well as that ending with the really creepy sounds. Running to Forget sounds like it's from Silent Hill, almost.
It's just a little bit funny how we regress.
And again, that very reverb-soaked vibe is on this song in full force. My favorite on this album is kind of an outlier on it. The song Heavy Little Heart. It drops all the ominous shit and is just a fun Neil Young kind of folky bop.
Where you gonna run?
It is, ironically, the most lighthearted on the album. I love the way it starts out simply with just guitar and bass and ends with that jaunty outro. I don't know what it is. It just, every time it comes on, it's just, you got a heavy little heart.
You got a heavy little
You got a heavy little heart. It's fun. It's just good times. Unfortunately, the album kind of tapers off at the end. None of the songs are bad or anything. They just kind of don't really do anything new. They just have that same vibe of guitar and reverb and all that. Although Why Die on a Hill and Cemetery Window are my two exceptions. This also gives me the perfect opportunity to ask, hey, what's up with Red Vox and them ending their songs with creepy sounds? Also, this album's really short at just 33 minutes. I want more. I want to explore this weird, interesting sound more. I've never heard ominous guitar music before, and I want more. But anyway, Realign, the next album, the real follow-up to Another Light, before Kerosene happened.
And it was released in 2020.
Once again, they do a completely different sound on this album, and it's genuinely really impressive that they're able to play around this much with sounds. I haven't seen a band switch their sound up so much since King Gizzard. Sorry, that's not their full name. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, which I know Vinny is a fan of. I did my research. I watched his 100 favorite albums list. There's a lot more groove on this album. They bring in a lot more synths on this album. Drum machines as well. They've used synths before on their albums, but not to this degree. This is a whole new level. Honestly, some of these songs sound like they could be from video games, which is not surprising since, you know, look who we're talking about. It's a lot more groovy with some great drum playing and excellent bass lines, like on Reeling from the Rafters or Be Someone Forever. This really does feel like Red Vox going for like a pop sound, you know? But not in a bad way, not like Weezer doing pop. Weezer has come up twice in this video now. I don't understand why. It feels a lot more like David Bowie or Tame Impala going pop. Which, fun fact, Tame Impala was one of the main reasons that Vinny started this band. He was a big inspiration. See, again, I do my research. Once again, we open on the title track, and it's a bop. It's a good-ass song. The chorus melody kind of reminds me of Nirvana's Come As You Are. Be Someone Forever is especially good. I like those synth chords that go like da 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 da, as well as that bass line that goes doom, doom. I'm a professional, you guys. Yeah, I like the one part that goes da 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 and the doo doo. The cavernous drums on
Ozymandias
are great, as well as that thick bass synth. Why did it say it like that? Well, yes, I did say that this album is very poppy. They do leave room to experiment. Like on the outro of this song, it's very cool. Very rad. Far Away almost sounds like it could be on Kerosene, well, with it being very atmospheric. I think that's the word of the day with this album, atmosphere. The way these guys build these songs are so interesting to me. The whole album is just so deep and detailed. All the textures are really cool. They don't sound like songs, they sound like environments. This album sounds like it's its own planet and we're just visiting each biome. Maybe the album cover is this theoretical planet I'm making up. What helps is the use of actual ambience on this album, like on the rainforest sounds on the beginning of Return the Call. My only complaint is that this album kind of feels like it goes on for too long. It's funny, this album isn't even that much longer than Another Light, and it really feels like it's a slog. I think what adds to that is that the second half of this album goes into more slower songs and really down-tempo songs. And they're not bad, it's just I wish they were placed less at the end, you know? It really drags the pace of this album down to a halt. Maybe this is the swamp biome we're going through on this album. If Kerosene felt a little front-loaded, this does a lot more. I do love the lyrics on Pale Blue Dot, though. I don't think Vinny has ever written something this existential.
How we're all just living on a pale blue dot, and as Vinny puts it,
Don't forget for you and me.
It's very Pink Floyd, very Wish You Were Here. Despite the third half being kind of slow, this is another good album from Red Vox. I feel like every band has their synth album. Well, this is Red Vox's synth album, and it's pretty good.
Hi, Editor Marshall here. I forgot to mention that there was an EP released in between Realign and the next album. It's called Lost for a While. It does more of the Realign sound. It's alright, it's not an essential part of Red Vox's catalog. At least to me, that is. If you're a Red Vox fan, you've probably already listened to this, and there are some songs on here that you probably think are extremely underrated, and I am just a big ol' hater. Just figured I'd mention that before we get to the next project.
Oh boy, okay, so next up we have a big old double album to get through, which was released in 2 parts a year apart from each other. Part 1, Visions, was released in 2022, and Afterthoughts was released the year after, as well as just, you know, both albums together. Which, fun fact, I listened to on the flight here.
Here's the thing about double albums. They have the tendency to be very messy projects. That can be for many reasons, but the obvious one is that it's just a lot of work. They usually have up to 20, 25 songs, 2 hours. It's just a lot. And it's because of that, it can be either a tedious or chaotic process making the album. It is mentally draining, it is physically draining, and can completely kill the good morale of the band. Just look at the Beatles or Pink Floyd. Both had double albums that, in one way or another, tore the band apart.
But, and this is just, you know, a theory, I think releasing them like this, a year apart from each other, really helped the band make the album. I get the feeling that that was done to, you know, not overwork themselves. And to prove my point, this album's pretty damn good. And it doesn't have the messiness that a lot of other double albums have. And also, unlike other double albums, it's not too long, it's just over an hour. Both sides are about 30 minutes and change. So yeah, I wasn't exhausted like I would normally be on double albums by the end of listening to this. And also, both sides do have different sounds, but not so different that they just feel like two completely different albums stitched on top of each other. But I'm rambling. The songs, let's get to the songs. Side 1, Visions, has a more hard rock, almost Foo Fighters or Nirvana vibe. Some of my favorites off this side are the opening track, which has a part that sounds like surf rock almost. Middle of the Street and Choking on the Spite have great melodies, and Vinny sings his ass off on the first one.
Been looking for something.
There's a Place is my personal favorite off this side.
I could live forever. But where would I go?
It's a lot more stripped back with less reverb, which is a nice change of pace for the album. With other songs like The Temple, this is Red Vox's hardest album since Bloodbath. What could go wrong? There's also a lot more guitar solos on this album, which is pretty cool. One general complaint that I kind of have with the band that is a lot more related to this album is that they can feel repetitive at times. Pretty much all the tracks on here are good. They just kind of do one thing and then don't really expand on it much. Again, all these songs, fairly enjoyable. I enjoyed listening to all these. I just wish they would develop these ideas more. Well, slap my ass and call me silly, because I think Vinny Pizza Pasta Italian man himself heard me saying that, because this complaint does not apply to the second half, Afterthoughts, which clearly was not an afterthought. Look, this might be recency bias, but this might be my favorite Red Vox album since Another Light. And also like that album, we're back in prog rock territory. Yeehaw! That's not, no, don't include that.
Do include that.
Which I realize now, I think might be my favorite side of Red Vox, when they lean more into that rock side, and specifically that prog rock side. It yields very interesting results. But what's also exciting is they bring back a lot of synths on this album too. Not like how they did on Realign, where they were going pop. Again, this is very prog-like. Eminence is a real banger of a track. It's very Rush.
Get out of the way, get out of your own way.
Almost a Stranger and Playing by the Rules continue playing with synths in this weird, cool new way. Also, that last one, the claps on the second verse.
Just like any man.
Perfect. No notes. Traces has one hell of a build. It starts off slow and groovy, and they start adding layers of distortion and guitars. It's just fucking... It just builds into this wall of sound. It's awesome. I can speak words and stuff. On the flip side, Almost a Stranger has this slow and hypnotizing vibe. Vinny and the gang also save 2 left turns for the end of the album. We get a throwback to Kerosene on the track Keep It Together, which is this weird synth plus acoustic guitar kind of thing. And then at the end, it just switches to this fun, bouncy, almost country song. Red Vox does country? It's definitely one of my favorites. And then we smash right into the song Forget Her, which is like, forget all of Realign, this might be their most poppy song. It's remarkably upbeat compared to the rest of Red Vox. Not to say that the rest of their music is really depressing. This song is just an unbelievably upbeat jam. Even just thinking about it, I have it stuck in my head now. It's just so damn fun. It's so fun. The chorus also has this really fun double meaning with the title.
Forget it, forget it, forget it, it'll make you feel better.
Do you get it? Because it sounds like he's saying forget her, but also forget her. That was my interpretation. I could be wrong. I love that near the end of this really prog rocky sounding album, we have this super upbeat pop song.
We also have this incredibly cinematic closer, As Long As I Can Dream. This song feels like I'm being rocketed up into space. It is the very definition of ethereal. Mike's incredible drumming, those guitar arpeggios, and Vinny once again killing it on the vocals all add up to an excellent grand closure to this album.
As long as I can dream.
Side note, it's really funny that 2 of their albums close with songs about dreams. Yeah, so if it wasn't obvious by now, I loved Afterthoughts a lot more than Visions. Not to downplay Visions. It has its moments, but Afterthoughts was just so much more experimental, eclectic, very colorful. I just really hope that they continue in this sound because it has yielded some of my favorite Red Vox songs.
Also, while I was editing this, Red Vox released a new song, Garbage Land. It's about, rats eating garbage, and the music video was filmed entirely in VR chat. Despite the song obviously being an April Fool's Day joke, it's kind of a bop. I mean, I kind of like it.
Scurry through the streets looking for an old bagel. They don't need an invite for a seat down at the table.
It's just a very fun and silly song. It's very Beck, as the band themselves have pointed out. And soon after Garbage Land, they released the song Clone Me. I mean this in the best way possible. It sounds like a TV show opening.
Know me, you wouldn't wanna know me.
Also, in case you're wondering, these aren't going to be on their next album. The band have said themselves that they're just one-offs. Really good one-offs, but still just one-offs. Or I guess this would be called a two-off? I don't know.
Between the cheeks of love.
I just loved the shit out of all these albums. They're not all perfect, but I enjoyed every single one of them. There was something to enjoy on every single one of these albums. And I guess Blood Bagel was also enjoyable in its own way. Each album feels completely different from the last, and it makes for a really eclectic and fun listen. I mean, they're all still rock. They didn't go to like experimental jazz fusion or something. That would be fire though. They're remarkably consistent while staying fresh and new with each project. Yeah, they didn't really have any albums that I hated or I just disliked. They're just a very likable band. I can safely say that they're hands down one of the best YouTuber associated music group artist things out there, as well as, you know, most definitely the best streamer music out there. Don't worry, we'll get to the bad ones. And honestly, I can't wait to hear what's coming next for them. Definitely A tier for Red Vox. Really liking them.
So that is normally where I would end things, but like I said before, I was at PAX during filming this, and I got to meet a bunch of cool people like Rob Scallon and Brian David Gilbert, and I found out that a very special someone was going to be at that convention. It was Vinny.
I have Vinny here with me, who is part of Red Vox. Did you know that?
I didn't. Sometimes people are like, Vinny, why do you have a band? And I'm like, I don't even know if I have one.
I would like to add some context for this. I had never really interviewed someone before this day. I did not have any questions prepared. I didn't want to embarrass myself too much in front of him. And also I didn't want to interrupt his PAX experience for too long. I also just didn't want to take up too much of his time. Needless to say, I was very nervous for this interview. I was a lot more comfortable interviewing Rob Scallon later. Well, relatively.
All right. I'm Marshall.
But Vinny was unfortunately my first victim. Just please keep all that in mind as you watch this.
I just wanted to ask, a couple questions. These are just questions that came up to my head. What's your creative process into going into like making an album, writing songs and all that?
So it starts with like just waiting for some ideas, whether it's dreams or whether it's like I'm playing guitar, watching TV, and I stockpile ideas, and the best ones, usually I kind of wait a while and then I work on the best ones. It's a mix of like waiting for something good to happen and then putting the work in to make it better, I think.
I'm also a songwriter. Listen to my music. No, I'm also a songwriter. That is generally how my process. I mean, I never really have dreams about music though. That's something that's not something that I can do. Like I know you have like a couple songs like In a Dream or like As Long as I Can Dream from the most recent album. Like what kind of dreams do you have that like, you know, develop into song ideas, you know?
It's hard to say specifically, but like sometimes I have a dream in the middle of the night and I wake up from the dream and the last thing I heard in the dream is still in my head. So the song From the Stars is that.
How very Paul McCartney of you.
I mean, well, that's a compliment. So yeah, I mean, it depends on the dream. Sometimes it's Martin Scorsese turning into a stick bug. Other times it's a song. So I mean, it's
like a lottery, you know? It's really a spin of the wheel or roll of the dice or something, yeah.
Again, sometimes you get lucky, and then if it doesn't happen for a while, I tend to write by playing guitar while watching the TV with the sound off, and then just trying not to think about what I'm playing, and that's a good way to access the unconscious. It's a very mysterious place. A lot of weird shit happens down there.
I have another question for you. So in this video, which I'll be reviewing all your albums, no pressure, how do you feel about me having a 20-minute segment about Blood Bagel?
That's too long. It's 5 songs.
They're some of your best.
I'll take it as a compliment. However, they're about clowns, bloody assholes, bagels. I mean, hey, there's some deeper stuff in there if you look for it. It's real deep.
Yeah.
Real deep. However, if you're going to do 20 minutes on that, Godspeed and good luck, and I pray for your sanity.
I lost it a long time ago. It's all good. I mean, you being a streamer, you could relate to that.
I can relate. Yes, I can, yeah.
I mean, once you hear enough, you know, Bunty Please and Dante is so cool, I mean, you start to lose it a little bit.
Cool jacket. He's got a cool jacket. Dante DMC2. Dante DMC2. Play DMC2.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Vinny. I appreciate your time. I hope you enjoy PAX. And cut.
And that was the end of our interview. Vinny did say if I had any other questions, then feel free to approach him and ask him, but I had all the answers I needed. But also I just couldn't find him anywhere until like the last day, and he seemed really tired and very ready for PAX to be over. I can't say that I blame him. I spent the last 30 minutes of PAX watching Kai play Pokemon. There's 5 minutes left of PAX, and I'm spending my last 5 minutes watching Kai play Pokemon. But at the end of the day, I'm really happy that I got to meet Vinny again, and that I got to tell him how much I love his band. And also, I just want to apologize for subjecting you to my awkward stumbling through an interview.
You know, I just rub one out.
You taking Tums?
Yeah, I got a little bit of tummy ache.
Tummy ache.
I got a stomach ache.
Stomach ache.
I'd be record good.
I'm doing well.
That's epic.
Thank you. I have a nice setup here. I have like the shirt underneath Pikachu here. I was gonna wear it, but even though I got a large, it's still kind of tight on me. It's so stupid. You know how they made it large? They just made the shirt longer. That's not how you make a large shirt. Also, thank you to A Yellow Line